Checking, checking, checking.
All right, good afternoon, fans, and welcome to Mork Softball Field here at Ed Crucy Stadium. Easton Allen with you on the call, along with my partner, Chris Jones, as we're just about ready to get underway on this beautiful Saturday in Seguin, Texas. TLU versus Schreiner, and the Bulldogs coming in today 28-1 and 20-1 in SCAC play, number 6 in the country, taking on the Schreiner Mountaineers under first-year head coach Mac Christensen. 7-25 this year with a 4-16 record, and we got Amanda White in the circle to start this afternoon, Chris.
Yeah, and Amanda White been an absolute force here for the Bulldogs this year. Had an unbelievable year, and for many their worst day is, or for her, her worst day is a lot of people's best days. So Bulldogs lineup looking the same as last outing, and a little chopped ball goes up the right field line. So quick hit for Schreiner.
Yeah, it's Brianna Jones with the base knock into right field.
In the circle for the Bulldogs, Amanda White. Behind the plate, Bella Rodriguez, number 21. Rounding out first base, number 30, Faith Hernandez. Second base, number 7, Kaylee Clark. Shortstop, number 77, Lindsay Leal. Over at third base, number 12, Tavery Ortiz. Number 3, Harley Russell in left field. Number 8, Annie Kay in center field. And number 9, Taylor Vanette in right field. So, Easton, we have this very veteran Bulldogs lineup here today. And, looking to really capitalize on this one. Schreiner coming in at 4-17. Not the greatest year, under new coaches. And, that school's going through some change right now.
They are.
But, in this league, anybody can give you trouble, even on your best days.
Absolutely. See Jones getting on base there to start the game, and now we got Cameron Holloway, the sophomore from Corpus, at the plate for Schreiner, showing bunt here as Ortiz charges and fields it cleanly. Going to advance the runner, though, so sack bunt there for Holloway as she moves over Jones. And there's out number 1 of the inning. So I'm going to bring up number 8, Anissa Mendoza, a junior from Mathis, Texas.
Oh, yeah. Mathis Pirates, 361, baby. Yeah, also number 4, I think she went to Corpus Christi Veterans Memorials, another South Texas lineup.
Yeah.
South Texas known for their softball. Cal Allen winning a couple state championships here and there. And nice little rise ball there from White. Go ahead and make it a 1-1 count here.
This one fouled off there by Mendoza. Mendoza came from University of Houston, Victoria, and then Chris, you were talking off air earlier. Coach Mac Christensen came from Houston, Victoria as an assistant, so Mendoza followed him over here to Schreiner.
White trying to find the outside corner of that zone there. She does that so well. But, he's in the UHV Pirates, in that Region 14 of Division I junior college is absolutely brutal as that pitch is fouled off on the rise ball. But absolutely brutal region and some really good softball teams. And, a lot of the teams that are really good at softball don't even play basketball or some of the other sports, like Alvin Community College and Wharton County. But you throw in your Blends, your Angelinas, there's some really good teams out there. Tyler Junior College. So, it's a battle-tested league for sure.
Always cool to see the players that do follow their coaches as well, as we got a full count here between White and Mendoza. She's going to ground this one to Leal. A little bobble. Now Leal will try to toss it to third and get the runner, and she will. A little sloppy play at first, but Leal makes up for it and gets the lead runner. Smart play over there on the left side of the infield as they get out number 2.
Bulldogs escaped with that one right there. A little bit worrisome right there. But get it done. We apologize today if we sound a little bit different or things are a little bit off. We're using some different equipment today than usual, so we're a little bit scrambling. Pretty busy day here on campus. Got new students coming in for Bulldog bound, and that's fouled off into the right field. But, there's new students on campus. Tennis taking on the University of Dallas. Men's tennis actually found a way to beat St. Thomas last night, 4-3, huge win for them, and Coach Mueller over there. So good stuff happening here at TLU. Baseball taking on McMurray, doubleheader today for games 2 and 3. They won 7-4 last night. I did. Yeah. Really fun game, and that one over there huge for seeding implications.
So Mendoza at first, as Gilchrist gonna look at a ball there, 2-1 between her and White.
And Easton, me and Sydney were talking about this last time. Just Amanda's White, her game face and her focus. She just unreal ability to lock in and battle, and it's exciting to see. You see her. We were talking about how you see her in campus or on the weight room, and she's always just
locked in,
very locked in and working hard. And so, no surprise when she comes out to the circle and has a lot of success.
It's cool with her too. Missing last season as she gets a strikeout there. Well, actually, that's strike 2 on Gilchrist, but Amanda
changeup got her there.
Yeah, Amanda was kind of the number 2. Had a heck of a year during the years of Ashton Straw that was here, but she was a key part of the team, and now her coming back and being the lead.
Changeup again for strike 3.
Yeah, they see White showing what she can do, what she's done all season. Gets the strikeout there. We're going to go to the bottom of the first now as the Bulldogs strand a runner. But put up a 0 in the top half of the first. Please stay with us. Welcome back, folks, to Mork Softball Field here at Ed Cruzy Stadium. Kaylee Clark going to lead off the bottom of the first for the Bulldogs.
Clark, batting an impressive .330, so been an impressive bat for the Bulldogs. And, obviously Easton, it goes without saying, her ability, she doesn't get that one there. But to lay down the bunt and, move around the bases, uncanny. So, exciting stuff. But quick bunt leads to quick out. Just didn't quite execute well enough on that one.
Yeah.
But that's going to go ahead and bring up Annie Kay. An interesting thing with Kay is her ability, to switch which side of the plate she's batting on. I didn't realize how common that is here for the Bulldogs. But last week I think Kaylee Clark got on first, and she stood in the left side of the box, and after Clark stole it, she switched over to be in the way the whole time of the catcher. So always fun to see the game within the game.
Yeah, and those two always kind of paired up, and they've been 1 and 2 pretty much all season, even going back to last year, late in the year, when we saw them being the top 2 of the order. And this year, it's been very consistency, and them two at those top spots.
Absolutely.
2-0 count here.
The Bulldogs, too, what I find quite impressive is that's ball 3 there, or strike 1, so 2-1 now. But, I've always found it impressive, especially with Lindsay Leal being your 9-hole, and she's batting a .353. And so, the Bulldogs' ability to turn over the lineup and get back to having top of the lineup, it's very impressive. And Annie Kay going to lay down a bunt, and she's going to get there. So the Bulldogs start off their day with their first hit.
Yeah. Showing off the speed there. Kay and Clark both try to get on the same way. Kay able to reach first base, and now Serena Gonzalez will come up in the 3 spot.
Gonzalez, the last time out, had a home run. Can't quite remember if it was, I think it was a 2-run home run, but right over that A there in the national champ sign, and absolutely crushed one. And here early, got to give some credit to Schreiner. I guess we never formally introduced them, but number 15, Mejias, in the circle for them. I don't think her numbers do her enough justice, as Annie Kay goes for second and gets it. Quick steal for the Bulldogs, and already at 1 today. But Mejias' numbers look bad because, the SCAC is so tough and brutal league to be decent, and maybe her numbers don't do her justice. But she's a very capable pitcher and, going to try and prove it today. Annie Kay with a big lead off back.
With 361 player, too, from Portland, Texas.
Yeah, Gregory Portland. Absolutely. Just built like a $8 million softball and baseball facility. Fun fact.
Oh, wait,
went to John Paul II, though.
I was about to make that correction just before we said she went to. I know we had that issue in baseball as well. I forget who the player was that.
Yeah, it's Braden Sprinsel. From Robstown, but
went to Cal Allen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little more common in South Texas, I guess. John Paul II, one of the 2 Catholic schools down there in Corpus. It's actually, where we played all our summer shootouts. They would always rent the gym out to people, so played many of sports games there.
So Serena Gonzalez going to reach after the hard hit ball to third base, and thought Kay was going to advance, so it kind of held the third baseman up. No throw, but now pop up there. That's going to be the net popping out in foul territory. So a big out for Schreiner and Mejias is going to hold the runners.
I thought Russell, if she gets a little bit more behind that one. Vanette there gets a little bit more behind that one. That could be a pretty dangerous spot there. So Bulldogs still going to work. Now Harley Russell up into the box for the Bulldogs. She's batting a .362, and everybody right now for the Bulldogs except Bella Rodriguez, batting over 300, and many of them pushing close to being almost in that 400. 4 out of 10 times getting on base. So been really efficient this season, and the Bulldogs offense has such great control and dictation over the game.
There goes Annie Kay.
Just going to go ahead and go. And now Serena Gonzalez is going to go ahead and steal. You don't always see that too often, but good heads up by her and Coach Lockley over there at first base to go ahead and go.
Kay kind of stealing that base for her. Can get all the attention on her, and Serena just.
Gilchrist didn't even really look over there.
Yeah. Give her a little head start.
Now the Bulldogs got some runners in scoring position. Russell going to eat a strike there, so now 3-1.
Trying to crack the scoreboard here in the bottom of the first are the Bulldogs. Got some wind blowing in from center as Russell looks at that one, bounce up to the plate for ball 4, so she'll take her base and earn the walk, and that'll load the bases for Faith Hernandez.
Quickly, if you're Schreiner, this is probably not how you want this to go right here. You want to try and battle, but letting the Bulldogs get into scoring position early is pretty dangerous. Bulldogs been super effective. Now Faith Hernandez with the Betis is loaded. One of the Bulldogs' best hitters, and you can put some great power on it. So tough spot now for Schreiner. Mejia's going to try and battle, though.
Got the pink glove as well in the circle.
Little change up there, top part of the zone. Going to find a strike there.
No pitch from Mejias. That one going to fade a bit outside and make it 2-0 to Hernandez.
Chris trying to do her best to frame it right there, but Umpire not going to fall for that one. A little bit high there on the rise ball. Really close right there. Now 3-1 count. Faith Hernandez is ahead. So Schreiner coach kind of giving some encouragement to Mejias. You know, right here you need a great pitch. She'll deliver right there. So full count here. Faith Hernandez, 2 down. Bases loaded here. So, you know, first real pressure point here on Schreiner. Low and in the zone. That's chopped up over into center field. And Schreiner able to make the play there. So that was Holloway underneath that one. So Bulldogs load the bases and have a chance, but can't quite find a way to get on the board. So we back with the top of the second. Hang around.
All right, welcome back, fans, to Mork Softball Field. First pitch there, going to be grounded over to Leal at short. That's going to be a ground out to start the top of the second for number 23 of Schreiner. That was Courtney Hurry.
Amanda White making quick work at that at bat. Now up for the Mountaineers is Silman, number 21, second baseman. And you know, Easton, I always have this problem when I'm doing these games. You know, are they Mountaineers or are they Lady Mountaineers? I never know what to call people anymore.
You know,
are we Lady Bulldogs or are we just regular Bulldogs, you know?
I'm sure Shriner's just Mountaineers. I will say, I can't think off the top of my head. I know there are some teams at the D3 level that, like, clearly, like Centenary, for example, you have the ladies and the gents. But for the most part, guys or girls teams, same mascot for me.
Guess that's just a little bit different, you know, from high school days.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all, but we were the Marlins and
the
Lady Marlins.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Amanda White.
Oh.
Trying to make quick work at this one. 1-2 count. You know, and one thing me and Sydney talked about last time, you know, Sydney couldn't be here with us today, so you're stuck with me and Easton and all our super vast softball knowledge here. But, you know, the amount of rotation Amanda White can get on the ball, you know, it moves like none other and, you know, so fast, so quick on her release points, you know.
You know, it always impresses me, too, the past, 4 years I've called games here, is her ability to stay strong throughout the entire game. Like, she never really shows signs of slowing down.
Yeah, absolutely. And right there, you know, little changeup for strike 3 and, you know, not screaming, not pumping her fist, you know, no reaction next at bat. And I love that mentality. So that one runs a bit inside there, kind of close, but maybe a bit low. This is Kendall Lippold up to bat. junior out of Richmond, Texas, Katie Folshier High School. 1-1 count now. So Schreiner got a good deal of players, kind of from all over. Some from Corpus area, some from Houston, some from the Valley, some from Syntex, all over. And same kind of thing with the Bulldogs, but Bulldogs, looking to keep it going, looking to get these stops here, and she reaches for that one, dead ball. Easy play there for Bella Rodriguez over to Faith Hernandez, and that'll be out 3. So Bulldogs hold them to another donut. And welcome back, everybody. Bulldogs back up at the plate. Tavery Ortiz, little chop ground ball. She tries to run it out. Can't quite get there, so first pitch swing and puts it in play, but can't quite run it out. So now Bella Rodriguez coming up for the Bulldogs. Catcher. Had some nice plays there. That drop, strike 3. So now Bulldogs, looking to get it going here on offense. Had a really great opportunity in the bottom of the first, but looking to get it going here. Nice little pitch there, just dropped barely into the middle of the zone there. So strike 1. And right here, the Bulldogs just need to focus on getting through the lineup and turning over and getting that high-powered offense towards the front, back on deck, and back on in the box.
That's something Liao's done really well this year. She's hit well in the 9 spot. She's kind of been down in that part of the lineup the last couple of years, but this year having a much better offensive season, and she's done a good job of turning it back over to Clark and Kay. We got Rodriguez up there right now, though.
Rodriguez, batting .211, so not, that great in comparison to all of her teammates, but still unbelievably capable. She chops that one down the line for a quick little fly out. So, tough break right there for the Bulldogs. But now Lindsay Liao up, and Liao has that speed and that ability to bunt. And so Bulldogs going to look to try and break this thing open here. It's still just waiting on that first opportunity.
And it was honestly nice seeing them. I didn't tune in too much to the last series, Chris, but in past series me and Sydney have called, the Bulldog offense kind of takes them a couple innings, just like baseball sometimes with us, to get them going. But first inning had the bases loaded. I know they didn't cash any runs, and I'm sure Coach Wilson's not too happy about that. But still, to be alive and active offensively to start the game is something
good little spot there, and that can't quite get down. And Liao right there, and that kind of center field, left field gap there. But that was the left fielder, Courtney Lippold, coming over to make the play there. Or Kendall Lippold, please forgive me.
Mejias going 1-2-3 in the bottom of the second, so we'll go to the top third now with no runs yet in this one. Please stay with us. Welcome back, folks, to Mork Softball Field at Ed Crucy Stadium. Top of the third inning we go as 8-9-1 due up for Schreiner. It's number 6, Peyton Eubanks Smith, the sophomore from League City, up at the plate.
And a White, good pitch, kind of in the inside. A little bit late on that one, so fouled off. Now 1-1 count to Amanda White. Please forgive me. Fastball right down the middle for strike 2 there.
You know, while we're here, might as well take a peek at White's numbers this season. I mean, ERA below 1. It's at .83, which is phenomenal. 15-0 record, 20 appearances. His start number 16 this year. He's pitched over 90 innings this season, which has doubled any other Bulldog pitcher this season. Just kind of shows I guess, responsibility she's had this year and ability to take control of games. As she gets the easy ground out there for out number 1. And opposing batters are sitting 170 this year against her, Chris.
Yeah, it's unreal. You know, she, making a case, honestly, to, potentially find a way, obviously postseason success, helps out.
Yeah,
but making a good case for National Player of the Year and for sure Pitcher of the Year. And, as we've known the last couple of years, for the Bulldogs, it's ultimately going to come down, probably to a showdown with ETBU. But Bulldogs looking to get it. Little foul ball, Lindsay Leal up, but can't quite get to that. So now White's ahead, 0-2 count. And Kai Cusack trying to find a way to turn the lineup over here and get on.
Like you said, Chris, UTBU's kind of been the thorn in their side the last couple of years. I know last year their season ended in Marshall against ETBU, and I believe it ended 2 years ago up there as well. But meanwhile, Amanda White gets another strikeout as she continues to cruise through this lineup.
And here's a little fun fact for you, Easton. Kai Cusack coming to you from Industrial High School out of Vanderbilt, Texas. So you had some action with the Cobras back in the day.
Yeah. The 3A basketball.
Yeah. Used to spend some time there every now and then, too. A good buddy who played there. This is 3A schools, though.
I'm sure fans are probably caught on by now the few times they've heard us on the mic during softball games this year. And we're big basketball guys and love South Texas schools and hoops as well. So we always like to see where people are from and find connections across the sports and schools we used to play for.
Now White behind here against Brianna Jones. 3-0 count. She's going to try and battle this one back. Gets a strike there. And Brianna Jones, batting .280, one of the best bats for Schreiner all year at a Brennan High School. But White looking to get it back. Rise ball just a little bit too high, so kind of a rare walk there for her.
Yeah.
Still 2 down. Now coming up for the Mountaineers is Holloway. Center fielder had that nice little play out in the outfield earlier.
You mentioned a rare walk, Chris. White's struck out batters twice as much as she's walked them this year.
Rodriguez going to go for the throw and got it.
Bella Rodriguez with a missile across the diamond and throwing out.
And, man,
Jones.
She put some pace on that thing. Never really got up too high. I thought there for a second that Jones was probably safe, but I didn't have that great a look at it. And Bella Rodriguez is going to go ahead and throw him down. So Bulldogs hold and get a stop again.
welcome back, fans, to more softball field. Kaylee Clark back up, 1-2-3, due up for TLU. As Mejias will go back to work, and she's done well so far, working her way through the first part of the order and gets through it clean with no runs given up yet. As the count goes to 2-0. That one goes high to Clark. Going to be 3-0 now between Mejias and her.
Oh, and outside of the zone there. I say outside of the zone. Right on that outside corner of the zone. Good spot there for Mejias. Clark, little line drive over to shortstop, and too quick for the Mountaineers. So Kaylee Clark going to get on. And now here's the fun part. So you'll see Annie Kay right here going to bat from the left side of the box this time. Clark just going to take off, and she's going to get there. And it is so much fun to watch because it doesn't matter. There is no stopping Kaylee Clark on the steal. I mean, you can throw it as hard as you can, as quick as the ball is coming across, but, you know, at the end of the day, 9 out of 10 times, you know, by the time the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, she's going to have enough time to get there.
Thought about going 3 there, but she'll just walk back over to second. As Annie Kay's back to the left side now.
Correct.
Chris.
So, you know, and trying to stay in the, you know, kind of path of the catcher there. And an interesting, you know, strategy. It's smart. It's good gamesmanship, and I really like that the Bulldogs do that. Now Annie Kay with a 1-1 count. Mejias now. That one's going to be fouled off. So 1-2 now. Mejias ahead. Annie Kay looking to keep things going here. Annie Kay, a former Sinton Pirate. So another South Texas. And good cut at that one. That's going to go foul. So 1-2 still. And, you know, one thing I find interesting is, you know, Annie Kay wears an elbow pad on her left
when she switches,
elbow.
does she change it?
That's what I think. I was like, would that not be a little bit in the way? And that ball, a little bit awkward there. Clark looking to go. Going to get by, and that is probably going to allow Clark to advance a base, which she does. Yeah. And Bulldogs yet to really put one into play well. It hadn't been a bunt, you know. Had too many flyouts here so far, but regardless, guess that's technically not really a sac fly, but it kind of worked as such. And Kaylee Clark able to go ahead and advance a base. So now Gonzalez with the runner in scoring position.
You know, Chris, you're 100% right. Like, there really hasn't been a ball hit well and land in play in the outfield yet for the Bulldogs. But, you know, sometimes there are games for them where their best offense is them just getting on base and putting pressure on the defense. You know, sometimes it's not always pretty. And now we got a chance here to maybe bring in a run. But you're right, though. Mejias has done a good job where they haven't really gotten a hard-hit ball off of her yet.
Absolutely. And dead ball there for Gonzalez, so she'll take her base. Yeah. And, you know, I think it's important to note, too, if you don't know how the camera looks today, I don't have it on the monitor next to me, but you know, if you see those flags, they're blowing right across the plate. So pretty windy, you know, coming right across the plate. You know, as that ball comes off the bat with backspin, you know, it's going to cause it to go up higher. So why we're seeing, you know, some of the stuff we're seeing. Serena Gonzalez going to go ahead and go. And now we got a fun little situation here.
Yeah. Serena going to keep it alive for the moment until she goes back to first.
A little bit of chicken there from the Bulldogs. And that was almost exactly what Coach Wilson wanted.
Yeah.
The last series against Schreiner, I can't recall what game, but I think it was Kay and Clark that were in a similar situation, and they didn't execute. And they kept Clark from getting home, and then they turned and threw out Annie Kay, and he was quite disappointed. So here we're seeing it now and putting some pressure there.
And Schreiner doing a pretty good job. A lot of times this works against most teams, and Mountaineers, though, doing a pretty good job of containing both runners right there.
But, as a pitcher, it's hard to have all that going on and be expected to do a good job. So they're going to take a look at second, and Kaylee Clark in free. So Bulldogs going to take a 1-0 lead, and they're cat and mouse there working out.
And that's not 2 stolen bases for Serena Gonzalez as well. So Clark scores from third, and it's now 1-0 Bulldogs. We're going to have some time called here from
both sides here.
Yeah.
And that is Chesley Swisher coming out. And maybe looking to run. So she's going to run there for Serena Gonzalez. Chesley Swisher, utility out of Bridgeland High School, on the west side of Houston there. And so I'm interested to see. I don't know how that's going to shake things up, but yes, we'll see. Sometimes when they do that, they move people around and Swisher ends up in the outfield somewhere, but we might just see Gonzalez stay. 3-1 count now, though. Taylor Vanette watching that one, so she'll take her base. And now Harley Russell coming up. Runners on second and first, and a little bit of room to operate here. Outside there, but not quite in the zone. 1-0 count. Down the middle, and Russell just can't quite get underneath that one again. So that's unfortunate break there for her. Second fly out of the contest today. And again, I think just that wind not helping. Nevertheless, that's going to bring up number 30, Faith Hernandez, first baseman. 2 out now, so Bulldogs still in a good position, but they're looking to work here.
We got the run across this inning, but like you said, Chris, it's been a lot of pop-ups and kind of weak flyouts all over the place throughout the first half of this game. That's credit more to Mejia's, too, with how she's pitched so far. She's made things tough for the Bulldogs. We just haven't given them something they want to hit. I mean, she's just kind of put it in good spots around the plate, right on the corners. It's 2-0 count here to Hernandez. That one goes low for ball 3 now. Trying to keep the inning alive here.
That one too high, so now bases loaded here for Tavery Ortiz. And Bulldogs finding themselves kind of in a similar position to the bottom of the first. Infield there going to take a little time, talk it up. So this is an important at-bat here for Schreiner, and trying to look to contain the Bulldogs here and really keep them from getting going early. I don't know if you saw that, but you can look out in center field, left field, and right field. A little bit of dancing going on. I'm not sure this is quite a time for Schreiner to be dancing, but nevertheless, I'm not going to judge. Spent many a days out in center field back when.
Get lonely sometimes out there.
Oh, it sure can. That one runs inside, so ball one. Tavery Ortiz had a ground out in her first at bat, so looking to get it going here. Ortiz batting .333, so exactly 1/3 of the time she gets on base there. .2-0 count now.
Right now, Mejia's just struggling to find the zone. She was doing a good job most of this game, but now she's throwing 7 straight balls now. Going back to the last at bat.
Yeah, just a little bit low and just can't find it right here. And, the pressure adding up. This is a tough position to be in right here. Bases loaded.
There's ball 4, a 4-pitch walk, and Chesley Swisher will come across the score. And that was Serena Gonzalez in her spot there. So, second run across this inning. It's now 2-0 Bulldogs as they continue to just take what Schreiner gives them. As he is struggling to find the zone right now.
So now,
coming
hitter in for the Bulldogs, I believe
32.
That is Jordan Joy, freshman out of Kerrville, Texas, Tivy High School. So, a little interesting there. And I believe she is going to be the DP now in place of Gonzalez.
Yeah.
I can't remember how they move it around, but I think Chesley Swisher will end up in right field.
These are the times I wish Sydney was here. She's probably listening right now.
Yeah, she's probably sitting there laughing at us because she knows exactly. And, I watched it. It was the same way in just that last series, but beyond me, I guess. Ball one. That one runs inside. I thought that got a piece. No? Guess not. So ball two. Good cut there, but fouled it back. So 2-1 now.
Yeah. And Joy on the season, batting .300 in her limited appearances. This is her 13th time out here, though. Has started 4 games and 3 hits in her 10 at-bats this year. And 2 RBIs, a chance to add to it maybe. Definitely could be looking to be a future key piece of this Bulldog team as we move deeper into the season.
There.
They're hard hit ball, but right at the shortstop, like you mentioned, and that's going to be out number 3. Easy tag on second for Schreiner. And the Bulldogs strength the bases loaded, but they do get 2 across. We'll go to the top of the 4th. Please stay with us. Welcome back, fans, to Mork Softball Field. As starting the top of the 4th with Holloway leading off this inning for Schreiner.
Little change for TLU. Chesley Swisher now in right field in place of Taylor Vanette. Saw a little change as she came in there for Serena Gonzalez, and Bulldogs also brought in Joy, the DP. So now White back in the circle, 3-1 count here, up against Holloway. Last time out, Holloway was up to bat, but Bulldogs had that throw down at second.
Yeah.
Strike 2 there, so full count. So she's back up.
That one bumped me ball 4 as she earns the walk there in the long at bat, and Holloway able to give Schreiner a leadoff base runner. Last time they had that was back in the first inning when Jones got that base hit. She's going to bring up now number 8, Anissa Mendoza, as Holloway thought about stealing there.
Show and bunt there, that fouled back. Inside there, pops up. Bulldogs can't quite get to it. Maybe a little miscommunication there between White and Bella Rodriguez. Awkward hit. Had some weird spin on it. And going to be a hit for the Mountaineers.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Chris, as that was a little chopper. And like you said, miscommunication. Like Amanda was looking like she was going to try to catch it or pick it up and throw it, but she waited for Rodriguez to do it instead.
So now, a little sub. And that is number 17.
Hayden Renslow got our pinch run.
Out of Medina Valley High School. Coming in for number 8, Mendoza there. Now up in the box, that is number 20, Gilchrist, the catcher. So now, kind of for the first time, TLU's in a little bit of a tougher spot here. Got 2 on. That one fouled up. But Amanda White going to look to get it back right here.
That one chopped in front of the plate, but it looks like it's going to be a called foul, and everyone's going to have to return back to their bases. It's going to stay 0-2 here between White and Gilchrist, the catcher. But Schreiner with a couple of runners aboard. It's the first time they've had 2 runners on base at the same time. It's going to 1-2 count here.
That one chopped into center field. Annie Kay underneath it, going to make the play. Little touch up, looking to go to third, but Holloway going to go right back to the bag. So good stop there from the Bulldogs, and now they're going to look to keep it going here.
Not a bad rip there from Gilchrist. That might have been the hardest piece of contact they've gotten off White up to this point.
I have to agree with you there. It's going to bring up Hurry now, number 23. Good cut at that one. Kaylee Clark trying to get underneath it, called off by Swisher. So Chesley Swisher making the play, and now Bulldogs find a quick 2 outs there. And some good movement around the infield there.
We're going to bounce up to the plate and get away from Rodriguez. Little Wild pitch there from White, going to advance both of the Schreiner runners. So Mountaineers knocking on the door right now as we got number 21, Abigail Slyman back up, freshman. So Holloway at third, Mendoza at second for Slyman, who struck out her first time. Grounder over to third, Ortiz.
Avery Ortiz.
Quick throw over, and Kaylee Clark going to cover for the first base bag for out number 3. So we're going to go bottom 4, and Amanda White and the Bulldogs get out of that inning unharmed. Please stay with us.
Now, up in the box for the Bulldogs is Lindsay Leal. And little change there from Schreiner. So now it is number 8, Mendoza on the mound. Change from Mejias. So Schreiner shifted some things around.
Yeah.
And now a 2-1 count. 3-1 now.
It's also probably why we saw that pinch runner come in for last inning as well. So 3-1 here to Leal. And she will take ball 4 and head over to first to get the TLU Bulldogs a leadoff runner. And she'll also turn the lineup over as well.
Now Kaylee Clark back up, reaching for that one there. So strike 2, 0-2 count. Mendoza ahead now. Maybe look to be a little more defensive here. Finds that one, and she runs through it. That is just so unreal. Just the control she has up there, and you really can do that off anybody. And I mean, she just chopped at it, popped it up down the third base line, and runs through it. And so, you know, it's a pretty tough position for most people. She just gets herself right out of. Annie Kay showing bunt. Bulldogs going to take off and safe. So Lindsay Leal and Kaylee Clark with a stolen base there.
In blink of an eye, the Bulldogs got 2 runners in scoring position.
It's crazy how fast it can happen for the Bulldogs. Now, Annie Kay, your best hitter, with 2 in scoring position and 1 down. So Bulldogs in a good spot here. And, that's why he has Lindsay Leal in that 9 hole, so that when they do try and turn over the lineup, he got a really good chance to do it. So Annie Kay going to watch an inside one. That's going to be strike 1. So 2-1 count now. And Mendoza trying to get a stop here. Going to go ahead and try and lay down a bunt. That's going to go foul. So 2-2 now. And, interesting right there, choosing to bunt right here with a runner on third and second, because it's really, what are you going to try and stop, Tough to try and get a force out at 1 because you're going to let up someone from the third base. And if you try and go for the tag, she's going to get through. But Annie Kay going to drill that one through the first base, second base gap. And Kaylee Clark and Lindsay Leal are going to be in off the single from Annie Kay. Just like that, the Bulldog add another pair on the board. So 4-0 lead now for the Bulldogs.
A big-time swing there by Kay. Just found a way to take it into the right field and bring home a couple runs. Big-time swing there. It's 4-0. Like
right in that 3-4 gap, Easton.
Yes.
Nice job by the Bulldog offense. And now Annie Kay maybe looking to go already, but comes back. Now we have Chesley Swisher, who came in for Serena Gonzalez now in the 3-hole here. Little chop bunt. That drops. Little miscommunication. Can't quite grab it. And so Chesley gets on base.
Not a bad bunt. Looked a little scary at first with some airtime on it, but found a way to drop.
That was an awkward ball there from Swisher, but it didn't matter. And so now the Bulldogs in another great position here. Now with, I believe that's Taylor Vanette. Yes, it is. She's going to show bunt. Annie Kay going to go ahead and go halfway there. She's going to go back. So now Taylor Vanette looking to get things going here.
Walked her last time up and then had a pop out her first time.
Still, waiting on Vanette and Russell to have, some bigger moments. Annie Kay going to go. She's going to get there. Ball past third base. She's going to go ahead and take off. And Annie Kay going to go ahead and have 2 steals to get home.
It's track practice right now for the Bulldogs.
Absolutely. And now Chesley Swisher on second and still in a good position. I love that mentality of the Bulldogs, and, they're very much going to try and make you throw them out. And Schreiner hadn't been successful yet with it. Good stop there from Gilchrist. So now Taylor Vanette facing a 2-1 count here. Chesley Swisher still on second. Good cut at that one, but fouls it back. So 2-2.
Got Swisher over there at second now. Vanette up, Russell on deck. Still no outs either, Chris, in this inning. Here in the bottom of the fourth. 5-0 our score. Trying to put this one away here before game 2 of this doubleheader as Rides Vanette. The hard hit ball down that third base line, just going foul.
Coach Wilson had to hike his leg a little bit there to get out of the way of that one. Yeah. Clapping it up, giving some encouragement to Taylor Vanette here. And Vanette doing a much better job this at bat than her first 2. Obviously she was walked, but battling here. Looking at that one and going to watch it. So full count here. And ball 4, so Vanette going to get walked again. And now here comes Harley Russell. 2 flyouts on the day. So, according to the numbers, .362 batting average. This one should be a hit. I love the law of averages, and she's going to lay down a bunt, going to run through it. She gets called out, but a little sacrifice bunt there, going to advance Bulldog runners. So now Faith Hernandez with runners in scoring position and still only 1 out.
And you'll take that at bat, too, if you're Coach Wilson. You have outs to spare, move a couple runners.
Absolutely, and really unselfish there by Harley Russell. An inside strike there on Hernandez. And, Mendoza in the circle, still trying to get her feet, kind of fully wet here. And, inheriting a tough position, but trying to figure it out here. Good cut there by Hernandez, so 1-1. That one runs inside and low, so 2-1. Good cut, but that one's foul. So now a long at bat here for Hernandez. Schreiner going to talk it up a little bit. So 1-2 count. And that one chopped, and that's going to just barely drop. A little bit of an error. And now the Bulldogs going to take off. And Taylor Vanette going to go ahead and get around, showing off the Bulldog speed. So what should have been a routine little catch there, dropped. Great spot there from Hernandez. So hit for the Bulldogs, and, a little bit of a holdup. I think right fielder thought she had it.
Yeah.
Fun fact, did not have it. So Bulldogs going to have enough time to get around. Now Faith Hernandez having a little pitch runner come in. That is number 33. That is going to be Hannah Hamra coming in. Saw her last weekend, kind of in the same role. So now Bulldogs here having a lead that's ballooned now to 7-0. So now the DP for the Bulldogs here. Or excuse me, that's not the DP. That is Tavery Ortiz, the third baseman. But looking to get it going here, that a little bit low. So now 2-0 count here. And things have started to kind of fall apart here for the Mountaineers.
Yeah. Run rule in effect now as well, as Amanda White can end things going to the top of the fifth after this one with a lead up to 7 now.
I thought it was 8.
Now you're making me question myself.
I believe it's 8.
It's been a while, because I'll be honest, Chris, me and Sydney's games this year, we haven't seen too many run rules this season.
Yeah, it was 8 last weekend, so
Okay.
that's how I'm going to go ahead and remember.
All right.
Ball 4 there for Tavery Ortiz, so she's going to take her base. And now back up to bat is Bella Rodriguez. And actually, I think this is her first time of the inning, but Coach Wilson going to go ahead and make a sub, I think. And Leal started this inning, so interesting. And so now we're going to see a change. Kayla Ramirez going to go ahead and run for Tavery Ortiz. Ramirez, the 5'1 junior out of Kingsville, Texas, Santa Gertrudis Academy, Lady Lions. They've won a couple state titles down there. Alongside Cal Allen, I want to say a couple years ago they both won one, and it was a huge, big deal. But now, Bulldogs again, runner on second and first, and Coach Wilson, put his speed in, got some subs in there, so don't be surprised if the Bulldogs try and steal a few bases and keep putting the pressure on the Mountaineers. That one a bit outside there, so ball one. One runs low and inside for strike one there. So now if you're Schreiner, you just got to find a way to get out of this one. Try and get it back when you go up to bat.
Yeah.
Little change up there.
And unfortunately for them, the things kind of went for a turn when Mendoza replaced Mejias in the circle. Mejias was going strong for 3.5 innings and then made the change after she slowed down a bit, and it hasn't gotten much better for Schreiner throughout this game one.
Good cut there. That is just barely foul there from Rodriguez. The Bulldogs yet to kind of line drive one over, the infield and drop one in there. And, kind of just lots of pop-ups today. The wind's not helping, but Bulldog offense, as impressive as it's been, there's still room for improvement. Little chop at that one. She's going to try and run through it. She's going to get thrown down, but advance the runners. So now Bulldogs back at the top of the lineup again here in the bottom of the fourth. And Lindsay Leal started things, so now she's got some room here. Bulldog runners on third and second. Good cut at that one.
Too, Chris, it's kind of those times where we like to see the game within the game. You're comfortably ahead by 7 runs, but you got a couple runners in scoring position with 2 down. You want to take advantage of this opportunity because it's good practice for when they're going to need it deeper into this season, into the postseason.
And it kind of reminds me, of one of my favorite stories from Texas high school football, several years ago now. Someone did an interview with the Refugio head coach, Jason Herring. He talked about, sometimes, maybe they weren't always playing the best teams, but, had to play the schedule that they inherited, with their district. And talk about getting to the state championship and getting to postseason and his guys being tired. And, same thing kind of applies here. The Bulldogs, done an outstanding job here today, but don't want to take their foot off the brake. Want to continue and apply pressure, and it's so important. If you let off against a good team, you can let them back in, and so, always good practice every time you come out, and especially at home. You want to find a way to put games away and you continue and work. And so,
couldn't agree more.
Work the Bulldogs will do. Now 2-2 to Leal, and Leal trying to find her way, battling back after starting 0-2 here. Outside there, so full count now, 2 down for the Mountaineers, and Schreiner desperately looking to escape this inning here. Bulldogs have piled on 4 here in the bottom of the fourth. Good cut at that one, but not going to drop in time, so Mountaineer left fielder going to get underneath when that was number 44. Lippold. So good inning there for the Bulldogs, and lead going to balloon up to 7-0. So stay with us. And a little pop fly out, foul into left field, but Harley Russell going to get underneath that one. So 1 down now for the Bulldogs as they look to close here.
And shout out to Chris earlier for correcting me. Again, we haven't called too many run rules this year. I forgot it was 8, not 7. So White trying to keep them scoreless here, and the Bulldogs will try to add a few more runs, or one more run next inning.
Little cut at that one, and Faith Hernandez running over to maybe try and get that one, but gets away from her there. One count now for White. That one runs inside, and Schreiner's had some changes, but Eubank Smith up to bat, number 8 batter in their lineup. So Schreiner looking to turn it over here. Rise ball just a little bit high in that zone there, so 3-1.
You know, it's crazy sometimes, Chris. I look at we keep track of our scorecards throughout the game, and when Amanda White's pitching and we're deep into this game and we have people that are just batting for the second time today, it always kind of blows my mind.
Yes, it does.
Eubank Smith grounds out there.
Yeah. White, quick hands there, and kind of gave her a little look right as she threw that one down. Like, almost kind of too routine there from White.
Yeah. All business.
That game face is just still there.
Yeah.
I love the intensity, from the Bulldogs. So a little sub, I guess, coming in for Cusack is number 3. Lindsey Hughes, sophomore out of Willis, Texas, Willis High School.
And going back to what we were talking about earlier, Chris, with just kind of treating every moment and opponent kind of the same throughout the season. Amanda White's one of those players that's not going to shy away from that, and she's going to lean into that mantra of just
absolutely
just playing to her standard, regardless of situation or opponent.
And just ice cold on the mound. I think she could be in that mound and you'd say, Amanda, need you to kill this butterfly, and she'd do it. She just gets in that mode. Squash that ladybug, and she'd do it. So 2-1 count now. Looking to get the Bulldogs back on offense. That one fouled back there by Hughes. So now 2-2 count, 2 down here, and Bulldogs looking to get on offense here. A little bit outside there, and that one fouled off.
Got a full count here to Hughes. 3-2 going to be popped up into left field. Russell not able to get underneath. That's going to bloop in, so a little late 2-out hit there.
That's an unfortunate one to give up right there. I mean, kind of in that death triangle, behind third base, shortstop, and, just too short there for Harley Russell to get. And had some funky spin, hit the ground and kind of popped towards that foul line. But little pitch runner now, so Cusack going to come back in. And a little dab there from Hughes. I'm not sure what there is to celebrate right now if you're the Mountaineers, but I guess getting a hit off Amanda White's pretty fun. It's a little ground out over to Tavery Ortiz. Bulldogs make the play at second, and that's going to do it here in the top of the 5th. So the reminder, Bulldogs just need one to shut this one down and earn the run rule. So stay with us as we go down to the wire. Bulldogs back up now. So Kaylee Clark, you know, who else to lead off here in the top of the or bottom of the fifth other than Clark? She's going to try and get on. 1-1 now to her. Good cut at that one. Shortstop having to take a few steps and
Not going to be in time.
safe there. You know, that's one thing me and Sydney talked about last time is Clark's ability, you know, place that ball right there in that, 5-6 gap there between third base and the shortstop. And, even, the shortstop having to take 2-3 steps over there gives her enough time to get there. And now we're going to see the Bulldogs with that patented strategy here that they like to do. So Annie Kay will bat left-handed at first. Eats a strike. She's going to watch that one inside. Schreiner going to try and throw Kaylee Clark down, but that's kind of beating a dead horse there. So Clark going to go ahead and take the steal. Now 1-1 to Kay, and Kay will switch now to the right side. Bit inside.
Gonna loop in.
Good little spot there, and Kay looking to turn the corner, and Clark all the way around, and that'll do it. So, who other than Kaylee Clark and Annie Kay to shut this one down? So the Bulldogs gonna take a win with the run rule 8-0 here against Schreiner in Game 1.
Businesslike, very businesslike from the Bulldogs here in Game 1. 8-0 our final. Chris, as we'll have Game 2 of the doubleheader in about 30 minutes or so. With knowing Coach Wilson, it might be quicker.
Easton, I believe Game 2 is tomorrow.
I thought we had the doubleheader today.
We're going to get some confirmation. Game 2 is tomorrow, correct, Nick?
It is right now.
Today?
Yeah, come on now. We got more softball to play.
Oh, my goodness. I was all confused. Game 3 is tomorrow.
Yep.
So I wasn't sure who was playing at that end of the doubleheader, but anyhow. Bulldogs win.
Yep,
Moral of the story. So take a commanding 8-0 win here in Game 1, and we will be right back at you with Game 2.